Are the Texans a playoff team in 2020? Well, according to the national media, according to most Texans fans, no. But I'm not national media, and I'm not, your stereotypical angry Texans fan. I always try to come with you with reasonable takes, speaking from a realistic standpoint, not, overly positive dude or not negative Nancy. I like to think things through by myself without having anything else influence my opinions. Because if that was the case, and I would just sound like 99% of all these other people out here talking sports, but that's not me. I like to give you my own personal opinion, and my personal opinion is that the Texans will definitely make the postseason in 2020. I think it's pretty evident, and anyone who says they're not, I don't know what in the world you're smoking, but you might want to stop because it is very unhealthy the amount of substance abuse that you are doing, because the Texans are definitely making the postseason in 2020. And for whatever reason, the national media, they seem to think DeAndre Hopkins equals 5 wins. Cause last year the Texans went 10-6, and this year a lot of people are projecting the Texans to go 5-11, 4-12. I even seen some article the other day coming from Miami Dolphins. It's a Dolphins article saying, could the Dolphins' first round pick of 2021 come from the Texans? I'm like, what? You're saying the Texans are going to be worse than the Dolphins? That is, yeah, I guess they got some of that Walter White blue meth over there in Miami, because no, 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 no. And I've made videos before, breaking down how the defense got better, how the offense got better. I'm pretty sure you guys have watched those videos. But yeah, I believe the Texans offense got better despite losing DeAndre Hopkins. And to kind of put it short, the addition of another deep threat alongside Will Fuller. We already know Fuller can't stay healthy, but Brandon Cooks can. That narrative is not true that Cooks can't stay healthy. He can stay healthy. He's missed like 8 games in his, 6-year career? That's nothing. He can stay healthy. He's going to be another deep threat for Deshaun Watson to throw to. Added Randall Cobb, who some people might say is an elite slot receiver. They have Kenny Stills back there, Kiki QT as well. He can turn into something. He's a very young player. They got Darren Fells coming back. They got Kahali Waring, who could potentially turn into something. They got a very good offensive line. They got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Definitely a top 5 quarterback. Can even make an argument that he's top 3, with Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson being the other 2. You can make that argument. Like, it is not outrageous to make that argument. Tom Brady, he's looking washed. Aaron Rodgers, he's looking washed. And Drew Brees is also looking a little bit washed. So who out there in the NFL would you realistically take over Deshaun Watson that's not Patrick Mahomes or Russell Wilson? No one. Deshaun Watson can carry the Texans to double-digit wins. And anyone who disagrees, then you've clearly never watched all these other amazing quarterbacks carry their teams to the playoffs year in and year out. Andrew Luck carried the Colts quite a few times. Russell Wilson in Seattle, he's been doing it for like the past 2 or 3 years after the Legion of Boom fell apart. It's been all Russell, and even then, even before the whole Legion of Boom fell apart, before Earl went to Baltimore, before Sherman went to San Francisco, Russell Wilson was kind of doing it all. And then you also have Tom Brady some years. Some years that New England roster was pretty questionable AF. So questionable that the media would come out every now and then with, is this the end of the Patriots dynasty because their team isn't any good this year? Nope, Tom Brady just showed up and carried that team to the playoffs. Of course, Bill Belichick had something to do with that, but this Texans roster is nowhere near as bad as some of those New England rosters. So, yeah, you're telling me Deshaun Watson can't carry this team to the playoffs? Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree there. And then when you flip over to the defensive side, I mean, they got Ross Blacklock, they got Jonathan Grenard. They pretty much, I wouldn't say fixed their biggest needs, because I have to see it first, because we can go and get, a certain player to fix our needs, but we're not going to know if that need is fixed until the games are actually played. So I'm just going to say they addressed the need for pass rush with Jonathan Grenard and Ross Blacklock getting added to this team. And, secondary wise, I know a lot of people like to be like, oh my god, our secondary is trash. No, our secondary is not trash. I mean, we got Garyon Conley, who in my opinion is our best corner. You got Bradley Roby as well. Those two guys being your 1 and 2 corners, you're not going to have a bad corner duo. You're just not. Like, people are acting like we have a bunch of Sharice Wrights back there. We don't. Now, I'm not saying Garyon Conley and Bradley Roby are going to hold everyone to 0 yards, but they can definitely put the clamps on certain players. If you guys remember, we've had a little T.Y. Hilton problem for the longest time. Guess what? The one game Garyon Conley played T.Y. Hilton, he put the clamps on him. Yes, T.Y. was hurt, but how many times has T.Y. not been hurt and he still torched us for 200 yards or something, So, Conley and Roby at the corner spot, we're going to be fine. Lonnie Johnson, he's been working really hard. I could see them rotating him in nickel situations, throwing him outside and sliding Roby inside to the nickel. So I think we'll be fine at the corner spot. And then you have John Reid, Vernon Hargraves, Phillip Gaines as your backup corners. You got Keon Krishant as well. So you have a nice corner group. Now at safety, you got Justin Reed. Dude's going to be a stud. Last year he had the shoulder injury. He's going to get better this year going into year 3. Yes, Eric Murray, I do not like him, but having one bad player in your secondary does not mean your secondary is going to be absolutely garbage. Because a lot of teams have that. Like, a lot of teams have a bad player at a certain unit, and, it doesn't suck. Like, the Colts, their offensive line, for as good as it is, they have Glowinski at right guard. Dude's completely trash, but their offensive line's still good. One bad player doesn't completely make the unit worthless. It doesn't. Now, that's not even the biggest point yet. Last year, the Texans' schedule was harder than it's going to be this year. Yes, the Texans might have the 8th hardest schedule going into the season, but if you actually look at these teams, the way the schedule's set up, the schedule is not hard at all, at least compared to last year's schedule. Last year's schedule was way harder, and this year, after the first 4 games, which is KC, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, it's smooth sailing from there. They don't really have any hard games after that. I mean, the Texans could legitimately start the season 0-4, and they'll wind up finishing the season 10-6 or 11-5. That's how easy their schedule is after the first 4 games. Because Green Bay, even though they went 13-3 last year, they're not a good football team. Tennessee, yeah, they might have went to the AFC Championship game last year, but guess what? The Texans own them. They're their daddies. Jacksonville, they're full rebuild mode. Chicago, Trubisky, really? You're scared of Trubisky? What other team? Detroit with Matt Patricia, they're a mess. Joe Burrow and the Bengals, not scared of that. Tom Brady is with Tampa, so the Patriots, that game's not hard at all anymore. Indianapolis with turnover machine Phillip Rivers, don't really scare me. And that's not even the biggest thing. The biggest thing is, and here it is, name 7 teams in the AFC that you know for a fact are better than the Texans. Like for a fact that you can without a doubt say they're better than the Texans. I can only think of two. KC and Baltimore. You can make an argument for Pittsburgh, so I'll allow Pittsburgh. But other than that, what other team in the AFC is better than the Texans? Indianapolis, they don't have a quarterback. The Titans, the Texans are their daddies. Denver, I like the way they're building their team, but they're still too young. I don't think they're better than the Texans. The Bills love their defense, but they don't have a quarterback. The Bills, they're pretty much Jacksonville 3.0 or Bears 2.0. You know, they're pretty much the Bears and Jaguars that came before them. The Jaguars 2017, badass defense. You know, they have Blake Bortles at the quarterback position. They come into 2018 thinking, oh my God, our defense is good. Bortles took us to the AFC Championship game last year. We're going to be good, we're going to be good, we're going to be good. Nope, your quarterback is trash. You get exposed. You end up being trash. Same thing happened with Chicago. Oh my God, our defense was good. Trubisky was in year 2. Oh, Trubisky's the answer. Yay, we're going to the Super Bowl next year. What happens next year? Oh, your quarterback's trash. He gets exposed. Your team sucks. And Buffalo, they're about to go down that same exact path. You can guarantee it. Josh Allen is not a good quarterback. I mean, what else? What other team can you say? The Jets? Young, Adam Gase, can't really trust them. The Bengals, seriously? The Browns, maybe Baker Mayfield gets it together, but even then, I see them being maybe around Texans tier, so you can't really guarantee that they'll be better than the Texans. I mean, what other teams are out there? The Raiders, please. The Chargers, yeah, they don't have a quarterback. Herbert, Tyrod Taylor, no. That's pretty much every other AFC team. Legit, there is not 7 teams in the AFC better than the Texans. Therefore, the Texans will make the playoffs because they're better than the Titans. They're better than the Jaguars. They're better than the Colts. They're better than the Jets. They're better than the Bills. They're better than the Patriots. They're better than the Dolphins. They're better than the Broncos. They're better than the Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns, and the Bengals. They're better than all those teams. It's a simple numbers game. The Texans will get in because, yes, you can make an argument. Oh, they won't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They won't beat the Ravens in the playoffs. They won't get far in the playoffs. You can definitely make that argument. I understand that. You can say they're not as good as the Chiefs. They're not as good as the Ravens. You can make that argument. That's not what I'm arguing here. What I'm arguing is that this Texans team is a playoff team. And, like I said, they're better than the Colts, the Titans, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Jets, the Bills, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers. They're better than the Bengals and the Browns. Those are 12 teams in the AFC that the Texans are clearly better than. So you're telling me this team is not making the playoffs even though it's better than 12 other teams in the AFC? And that's arguable too because the Texans are probably better than Pittsburgh, but I'm sticking to a little negative side. I'm going to side with a little negative here for a second and say, you know what, the Steelers are better. But in reality, I don't think the Steelers are better. They don't have an offense. Who's going to tear us up? Juju Smith-Schuster? Yeah, please. So the only 2 teams in the AFC that are actually 100% fact better than the Texans are the Chiefs and the Ravens. That means the Texans have 4 playoff spots that they could get. They could get the AFC South Championship, easy. They'll probably get that. Or they can get the 5 seed, the 6 seed, or the 7 seed. this Texans team is making the playoffs in 2020. Guaranteed. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys for today. Be sure to like and comment down below your opinion. Do you think this Texans team is a playoff team in 2020? And yeah, be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.